Hi everyone. My name is Ziad Ahmed and I'm really excited to be here today. I want to start by asking you all a question. When I ask you, what do you think of when you hear Generation Z? What comes to mind? I imagine for a lot of you, this might even be the first time you're hearing the term Generation Z. But I'm here today to tell you what Generation Z is, who we are, and why that matters. I, myself, am a proud Generation Zer. I'm 19, I'm young, I'm hungry, and I'm happy to be here. I'm not just that, though. I'm a student at Yale University. I'm the founder and CEO of Ciudad Consulting, a Generation Z consulting firm, where we teach clients how to market to young people better. I started that company because I founded a nonprofit called Redefine when I was in 8th grade. A nonprofit committed to embracing acceptance and tolerance. I founded it when I was in 8th grade because I saw a problem in our world that so many people were being limited because of who society thought they should be. And so when I was in 8th grade, I got together with friends and I started a movement, a by teens, for teens platform to inspire social change. And as a result of that, I found myself in all sorts of rooms. I found myself eating dinner with President Obama, at White House roundtables with industry leaders, with politicians, where oftentimes I was the only person under 30. And I got to thinking, what does that mean? What does that say about how society views young people? And what does it mean for me to occupy space in that seat? And so I founded Ciudad Consulting to empower more young people to substitute a seat at the table. Because I believe that tomorrow is better and brighter when young people have a seat at the table. And I'm not going to wait for people to pull up a chair for me. I'm going to claim my seat now. And I'm going to make an impact now. Thank you. And I'm not alone in that. I don't want anyone to leave this auditorium thinking that I am unique. I am not. Generation Z is all about disrupting the status quo. It's all about change making. It's all about saying you're going to hear us where we are now, and that's what you're hearing in this segment. So I'll speak now to how is Generation Z even different? We're thought to be the first generation that thinks in terms of we. And what does that mean? That means that we think in terms of us, and we're constantly challenging who gets to be a part of us, because we believe that tomorrow looks better when we embrace more of us. And I think we could all use that right now, no? And when I think about why is Generation Z even different from millennials, I want to underscore something that's very fundamental. Generation Z are social media natives. Okay? And millennials are digital natives. That means that millennials have not known a world without technology. But Generation Z has not known a world without social media. And what that looks like is, I've never had to reconnect with anyone. Right? A lot of millennials got Facebook for the first time when they were in college. They reconnected with the old friends. They posted gross selfies being like, here, me at lunch. I would never. Generation Z is using social media profoundly differently. We're not connecting with a few hundred people. We're connecting with thousands of people around the world. And we're making memes and movements. We have a generation of memes and movements. And so when I go to the polls, and you better believe I go to the polls and vote, I'm not just thinking about the people who live on my block. I'm thinking about the thousands of people I'm connected to online. I'm thinking about you all, the people I've been so lucky to meet and connect with. And I'm thinking about how my voting choices and how my consumer choices impact them on a day-to-day basis, because we are the generation of we. And we also use social media to perform. We use social media to create. And that's underscored by trends like the rise of the Finsta. A few of you in the audience might know what a Finsta is. I hope more. If you don't, look it up. And while you're at it, follow me on Instagram at Ziad the Activist. But we're using social media to create clout, right? And a lot of you might look at kids and be like, oh, they spend so much time on their phones. They're so lazy. What are they doing all the time? What we're doing all the time is engaging with people. It's changing the way that we communicate. When we think of memes and GIFs and hashtags, they're not just things that your kids are wasting time on. They're controlling how we think about public discourse. The hashtag has changed how we think about policy, how we think about social movements. And Generation Z are behind them. We're fueling them. We're creating these things and we're saying, you will hear us, and we will disrupt the status quo, and we will not accept these injustices. We will not accept that so many people are being left behind. We are going to use our voice and our tools and our communities to rise. And so when you see your kid on the phone, or when you see young people on the phone, I hope that you don't just say, oh, there's them on their phone again. I hope that you see that it's all the same, right? That the same reason that we're creating memes is the same reason that we're creating movements. It's two sides of the same coin. And we have to think about it in those terms. But I also don't want to be overly optimistic. I want to be real with you all. We are living in times characterized by messiness, characterized by polarization, and that's tricky. And we're living in scary times where a lot of people are being left behind, where a lot of people are suffering, and a lot of it's coming out of this idea of an us versus them narrative, pitting people against each other, making us believe that we are other than. And Generation Z is claiming us and saying, no, more of us are us. But at the same time, we're grappling with systems that are trying to reinforce us versus them at every level. And my challenge to you all is, what are you going to do to disrupt the us versus them? How are you going to follow the lead of Generation Z to burst our bubbles? I stand before you today proud. I am American Muslim. I am 19. I am a student. I am an activist. I am an entrepreneur. I am all of these things at once. And I am proud and I am unapologetic. And I don't believe that I'm alone in that. I think that more and more young people are claiming our identities and saying, this is me. Hear me. And we're challenging this notion that we can only be one thing. I want to tell you a story. I was giving a speech, and I give a lot of speeches about Generation Z, and I was speaking to a major Fortune 500 company recently. And a young person of color who wears hijab in the audience, hijab is the Muslim headscarf, raised their hand. They said, I'm a marketing intern here. And I feel like sometimes this ostensibly progressive company advertises to me as if I can only be a woman, or a person of color, or a Muslim. And doesn't advertise me as if I'm all of these things at once. What is your advice to this company so they can market to me as the full being that I am? And my response garnered some laughs, but I meant every word that I said. I said, make you a vice president rather than an intern. But we live in a system where the hegemony says, young people's time is later. I say no. Our time is now because the future affects us more than anybody else. We deserve a seat at the table because we understand exactly what's at stake. And I'm not just spending time on my phone looking at GIFs all day. I'm reading articles. I'm following people who are movers and shakers, and I'm making connections. And I am equally informed to have a seat at the table. I don't believe that my time to activate or to mobilize or to be anything is later. I believe it must be now. We can't afford to wait when so many are suffering. And I think that we get that. So why then is the power structure such that young people always fall at the bottom or altogether neglected? So often we have conversations where young people aren't even given a seat at the table, even when the conversation's about young people. That's not cool. I'm not here for that. And that's why I started my company, but moreover, why I do the work that I do is because I don't believe there should ever be a conversation about a group of people without that group of people present. And I believe that when it comes to an all-male panel making a decision about whether a woman is telling the truth about her body. And I believe that when we have systems where there are heads of departments at academic institutions, of ethnic studies departments, of ethnicities they don't identify as. And I believe that when so often we have conversations but neglect the very people we're hoping to serve. And we can't be okay with that as a people, as a society. We have to claim and say, no. More people deserve a real seat at the table, and not a folding chair over the side, but a real decision-making role. I am not an aside, I am not a folding chair. I think that more young people, need to be given these seats, not because we're just demanding for it, but because I believe the world looks better when we do. And that's why I do the work that I do. I don't have to tell you that times can be hard. I don't have to tell you that as an American Muslim, I've been othered too. I think you know that. I think you know that the world that we're living in is scary, but I also think that you know that when you view young people, you see hope in tomorrow. when you see that light ignite in their eyes, and that fire ignite in their stomachs, you're moved too. And our clients always tell us, right, you're so refreshing, where did you come from? We've been here. We've been here, and we have to be able to see that young people, that energy is not just for gawking at. It has real power and purpose. And if we want a pluralistic tomorrow, follow the lead of the plurals to make that tomorrow possible, right? That seems obvious. This idea shouldn't be new or novel. When the New York Times wrote a piece about my consulting firm, a lot of people were like, whoa, this is crazy. Young people speaking on behalf of young people. That shouldn't be crazy. That shouldn't be new or novel. It should be the norm that when we're having a conversation about a group of people, they're present. But again, I want to go back to what are the systems working against us? Social media is a tool of connection. But the algorithm is also such that right now it's prioritizing engagement to the extent that it's keeping us apart. Because I don't see content that Facebook doesn't think that I'll engage with. And what that means is it's creating these political silos on the internet, right? And furthermore, we're having news agencies who are writing clickbait headlines that care more about how many clicks they get than the truth that they're telling. And we have these companies that care more about profit than people. And I'm not saying that these companies shouldn't exist. What I'm saying is that the profit margin can be lessened in order to do what is right. We as consumers, as voters, have to say no, we want more. We want better. We want our chronological feeds back, not just because they're cooler, but because they allow us to engage with content that we disagree with, which is good for democracy, which is good for intellectualism, which is good for pluralism. We want news that actually tells real stories rather than just catchy headlines. Because we want a future that reflects the world that we're actually living in. The majority of Gen Z cares deeply about the impact that we leave on this earth. And we're the most diverse generation to ever live in terms of sexual orientation, in terms of race, in terms of all sorts of cleavages. And that power matters, and we're demanding more, and we must demand more. Our choices matter. The decisions we make matter. And I think that we're thinking very thoughtfully about them. And I think that you'll see that today from the other speakers that are young and that are hungry and that are ready. But I don't think that enough people are waking up and saying, okay, this might be true, young people are great. And they're not asking themselves, what can I do? And my plea to all of you is, think critically about how you can follow the lead of young people. Not just performatively, even though we do perform on social media, but substantively. How can you really follow the lead of the young changemakers that are making tomorrow better and brighter because we believe that it must be? The only way that we can guarantee that this world works and looks better for the kids that we one day hope to have is if we fight for the rights of every kid. I believe and I am motivated from a place that says every child deserves the space to dream and the agency to actualize their dreams. And I believe that they deserve a seat at the table. And the way that we do that is by following the lead of Generation Z to claim pluralism and to claim that we work better when we do it together. So Generation Z are not the leaders of tomorrow. We are indeed the leaders of today. And I'm tired of the trite notions that say, oh, you're going to be somebody someday. No, I am somebody right now. And I say that unapologetically, but because I believe we are all somebody. And I believe that young people all have a truth to tell. So, if we know that, if we understand that Generation Z are indeed the leaders of today, are you really going to wait until tomorrow to talk to us? Thank you.